Has this ever happened to you? Someone you know professionally and you share many common values with reveals one of their viewpoints that completely conflicts with your own beliefs. This happened to me earlier this year, and it really took me by surprise. It seemed that I had two choices. One was to engage in the debate that my friend had started, attempting to understand and be understood. And the second option was to disengage and focus on topics we both agreed on, limiting communication to our common ground. In this case, I chose the second option because I valued our friendship over making a point or trying to prove this person wrong. The friend and I don't work together on a regular basis, which got me thinking, what if you had to spend more time together? What if you and this person had to be on the same team, focused on the same project every day? How would I interact with him, and how would you deal with this? My friend and colleague, Tim Fort, professor of business law and ethics at the Kelley School of Business, writes about the role of cultural artifacts in our lives. These can be tangible things like tools of art or intangible elements like songs or stories. Discussion around these things like music, sports, cuisine, or even pets can create peace. These shared human experiences can become rapport builders with an acquaintance or bridges that help us connect with people on a deeper level. Tim has a vlog called Nudges and Bridges, in which he explores specific examples and research findings that can be used to build peace and commonality. Unlike my surprise conflict noted above, you might want to strategize before you enter in a conversation with your colleague. So here are some tips to consider before you engage. First, do your homework. Try to find out more information of where your colleague stands. This will allow you to ask educated and open-ended questions in a relevant but non-threatening context. Be mindful of your own biases and avoid making up your mind before you even engage. Determine your non-negotiables. Knowing where the other person is coming from may help you think through what you would consider discussing and what should remain off the table. Like a good negotiation strategy, have a clear plan in place before you engage in the conversation. In my case, I expressed my need for us to stay focused on what we both believed in. And I was dedicated and not interested to go into a debate. Now, during your conversation with a colleague who sees things differently than you do, consider these communication tips. First, focus on your common ground. As Tim says, start any conversation on what you both share and value. With my friend and I, we both have a passion for family, a healthy lifestyle, and we both admire our home country's culture. You might try discussing a recipe you're both considering how to make, or a trending song you both enjoy. Listen intentionally. This means listening with empathy, with respect, and without judgment. Respond with your face, your body, your eyes to demonstrate that you're following along and taking it all in. This may not be easy when you hear views in opposition to your own, but try to hold your position lightly. Ask genuine questions. Your questions should be open-ended and authentic, such as, "Tell me more about that," or "Give me an example so I can understand better," or "When you say this, do you mean this?" You might voice your viewpoint by saying, "I hear what you're saying, but I see it differently. Let me explain." In this conversation, if this conversation is happening with someone you interact with often, there are a few tips to follow after that initial interaction. First, assess your relationship. Do you value this person and do you have a professional future together? If so, you will have to, as we say in Greece, put some water in your wine. So that means you have to find a way to work together and come in terms with the fact that you won't see eye to eye on everything. Invest in commonalities. Decide on what you have in common and start your conversations and interactions from there. Continue to build rapport and invest the time and energy on what works. Set boundaries. When you are faced with a relationship that you value, like I did, have a frank conversation on any topics that should be off the agenda. If you both respectfully agree to disagree, you can still invest in a professional relationship free of conflict and free of emotion. The very topics we bring to the workplace can all become polarized. Think about it. The list includes return to work or work from home, vaccinations or no vaccinations, use and misuse of AI, environmental policy, geopolitics, and political ideologies. The list is endless. So finding common ground requires time and careful deliberation, but it can lead to mutually beneficial outcomes. I can assure you that it did in my professional relationship. As the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. I would love to know how you've managed conversations with colleagues who have perspectives that are different from yours. Please share that in the comments. And you can follow me and the Stronger newsletter on LinkedIn, or send this to a friend that you want to have a future conversation with. Thanks for listening.